Good morning, everybody. Back out on the balcony today. It is not as hot as it has been, so we're taking advantage of the nice weather. But it's still very bright. That's why I'm continuously squinting. Okay, so today I want to get something out of the way that I've been thinking about for a little while now. And that is, when you go to research as a beginner witch, you are bombarded with so many different sources saying that you need a cauldron, that you need a wand, that you need all of these fancy materials. Now, while I certainly did take all of those things into account when I was starting out, there are also an equal number of sources telling you you don't actually need any of those things. And they're telling you don't bother getting any of them because you don't actually need them, they're not going to help you, it'll be just the same experience. So, because of that, I wanted to, state my thoughts on the matter, which is that one way or the other, you're going to make an opinion, you're going to make a choice, and you're going to either go with nothing, or you're going to go out and you're going to buy everything that it is that you want. Now, for me personally, I struggled a lot with not having everything that I wanted because I really, really wanted to start working with a certain tool. And so I did everything that I could to find said certain tool and experiment with it. And when I did first start out, I started my Book of Shadows right away. And I kind of forced myself to use it and then got burnt out. And what my point is during this whole thing is that no matter what you decide, whether you decide to use a certain tool or not, or just take anybody's advice really on whether you need it or you feel personally that you need it, as I did with several things, then during your path and during your personal discovery, you're going to figure out that some tools just don't work for you. And some of them really do. Maybe you'll start working with a wand or an athame or a cauldron or whatever, and then get burned out and tired of it and say, hey, this doesn't really work for me. Everybody else is using it, but I'm not comfortable with it. It just doesn't vibe with me. And then you're going to stop using said tool. And sometimes you're never going to re-pick it back up. Sometimes you're going to be like, okay, I've made my choice. I don't need this in my practice. And other times, further down the line, you're going to say, hey, I have this one project that would really be helpful if I used whatever tool it is. And then you're going to go back and you're going to say, okay, well, this is working for me now. It wasn't helpful when I first started, or maybe it was helpful and now I'm tired of it. But you're going to come back and you're going to make little different alterations to your study and to your practice as it goes along. And just because you don't think you need a certain tool or you really want a certain tool in the beginning doesn't mean that you're always going to use it. And that you should be less concerned about trying to fit into this little block of what makes a good witch and what tools you need or what you don't need. And you're going to make those choices for yourself. And my personal experience on this is that I, as I said, started a Book of Shadows very early. And I wrote down all of the information that was readily available online that, honestly, I could have just looked up at any time. And so my Book of Shadows was more of a ritualistic kind of thing that I thought I just needed to fill up, or you're not going to turn into one of those old crones with 500 Books of Shadows that you've been working on your entire career. And in doing this, I got really sick of writing in my Book of Shadows because it was basically copywriting what I found on the internet into this book with a couple things that I'd done myself. And recently, as I've been going through a lot of wild crafting and a lot of herb crafting and a lot of making different things, I said, hey, it really would be nice to have a place where all of these recipes were compounded. And then I said, hey, I should start writing another kind of like a Book of Shadows, recipe book, whatever you like to call it, because it finally had come back around to me actually needing it. And it wasn't that I was just copywriting something that I could easily look up. And a lot of things you will remember anyway. It's not that you always have to look up whether a certain plant is edible or dangerous, because you will know and you will remember eventually. But my point is that don't feel pressured to decide one way or the other. If you decide one way or the other, you may change your mind later. And you may come to appreciate something that you before once despised as far as a tool goes. So, keep that in mind. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. That was the end of my rant. Blessed be witches.